It all started in Rocket League's early days, when the two most well-known players in the world, that is Cooksier and Kronovi, started using flat cars. What was their car choice? The Dominus, the best DLC car Psyonix ever created, period. But then something happened. Kronovi switched to the Octane and basically never went back, and then Cooksier also started using the Batmobile, which is an even flatter car than the Dominus. And even though flat cars have had their moment over the past 2 years, like when Overzero scored the iconic game-winning air dribble goal over Cooksier, both players using the Batmobile, for the most part, the Octane has been the car of choice for virtually every pro Rocket League player since Kronovi made that switch. Back when Kronovi and Cooksier were using the Dominus, pretty much everybody was using the Dominus in ranked. Yes, there have been those who have religiously stuck with the flatter cars, players like Fireburner and Classics and Jacob and Torsas and obviously Cooksier. But these players are rare in the competitive scene, like I basically just named all of them, and most of them have played their share of Rocket League with other cars as well. Over the past year, something has happened. More and more pros and high-level players are switching over from the Octane to either the Batmobile or the Dominus. Mainly, it's been the Batmobile. First, there was Fireburner, who basically became the American Cooksier when he switched to the Batmobile. He did this at a time when pretty much nobody else was. And even now, I still just see Cooksier when I see the Batmobile. And though Fireburner has gone back and forth over the past year, he's mainly used flat cars in tournaments. Next, there was FairyPeak, a player who only used the Octane, especially as a ones player who likes to dribble and flick the ball. This kind of made sense. For a while, FairyPeak used both cars off and on, and you never really knew which car he was going to use when he showed up in a match. He kind of had a different playstyle with each car. But as of late, FairyPeak has basically only used the Batmobile. I'll talk a little bit about why I think that's the case in a bit. For me, it was really significant to see a ones player who's been the best in the world multiple times, and to watch him switch from the Octane to the Batmobile and then also to stick with it, and continue to dominate in ones. Perhaps even get better, honestly. And then it happened. Scrubkilla started using the Batmobile. Before I played him in ones, I asked him about why he started using the Batmobile, and I wasn't recording, which is unfortunate. And I also asked if he'd ever switch back to the Octane. And I think he said that he just tried it one day, or someone told him that he needed to try it, and he just really did it for fun, but then he never went back. He basically loves using it. Now, obviously this wasn't his first time using the Batmobile, but for some reason, it stuck this time in a way that it hadn't before, and I'm sure it's the same for FairyPeak and Fireburner and other players. This wasn't their first time. It's just really the first time that it worked for them.
That's what she said.
Now, this is huge.
That's what she said.
Everything that people have said about why the Octane is superior to the Batmobile, or at least the areas where it's better, had to do with ground game. It's better for dribbling and it's better for car control. And here we have the two greatest 1v1 players of all time switching to the flattest car in the game and playing ones with basically the same playstyle. It's not like they switched to Cooksier's playstyle. They're still flicking, they're still dribbling, and they're still juking their opponents into oblivion. And I'd argue that their kickoffs and flicks are actually stronger now, and they're better players than they were. Like, they're having just as much, if not more, success. Now, I have a theory about why this is and why flat cars are probably going to be the future of Rocket League, or at least they'll start to catch up with Octane users. We're going to see at least more and more of them. Now, before I get into that, the most recent event that really got me thinking about this was the second Northern Arena tournament. In this tournament, 3 players who basically never used the Dominus all used it the entire tournament, and they all had great results. It wasn't just some weird attempt at messing with their opponents, like they stuck to it. These players are Gimmick, Rizzo, and Fireburner. Fireburner using the Dominus was less surprising for me than Rizzo and Gimmick. I've literally never seen these players use anything but the Octane since their careers started. The fact that all of these players and their teams did really well, and that they didn't switch from the Dominus when they just lost a game or maybe didn't play as well for a little bit, that tells me something. All of these players have been using the Dominus, and they felt as though their best chance in this tournament to play well was with the Dominus. That means that this has been going on for them. And I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Rizzo and Gimmick and Fireburner continuing to use the Dominus in tournaments after this because they're playing well. Okay, let's get to the point. A while back, I made a video about which cars were the best in Rocket League. And in that video, I made a case for either switching to a flat car or just using a different car other than the Octane. After that, I attempted to use the Batmobile and the Dominus randomly, and I honestly did want to start using them more regularly, hoping it would stick the way it has for FairyPeak and Scrub, and it just never happened. Now, here's what I think has happened and what it means for the future of Rocket League. Yes, flatter cars are harder to use. It is harder to control the ball on the ground with this pancake. Dribbling and carrying the ball is more difficult, takes a lot more precision. And this is even true of using flat cars in the air. Yes, they are superior because they actually resemble their own hitbox, but there's something difficult for many players about using these cars even in the air. And this brings me to my main point. More and more players are finally ready for flat cars. And a lot of them have probably been ready for a long time, They just haven't even thought of using anything but the Octane for so long. Back when I made my video on the best car in the game, I wasn't ready to use these cars, and I'm honestly not even sure if I'm ready now. At that time, it was always going to be easier for me to just, feel better using the Octane and just stick with it. At this point, high-level players are better in every aspect of their game. For players like Cookseer and Fairy Peak and Scrub, bounce dribbles with a flat car are really not any more difficult than with the Octane. But now they get all the benefits of using that giant pancake. It has a better hitbox for challenges, and if you get used to them, they are better in the air. So I'm going to take a serious look at both the Dominus and the Batmobile, and I'll have a video on this coming up, but you may be seeing a new FLuuMP in the coming months, which would be pretty cool. We'll see. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on notifications so that you can know right when I upload, and race to be the first person to put first in the comments, because that's a ton of fun apparently. Hopefully you guys are well. Thanks for watching. Peace out.